Welcome back to another episode of BVM Sports Chalk Talk. I am joined by Scott Procter and Matt Morris. I'm Mike Cianciolo, and we are on to the AFC East, where the most surprising move has been made in New England, with Bill Belichick opting for rookie Mac Jones at quarterback and the team cutting former league MVP Cam Newton. The Bills should be the division favorite, but will the Dolphins and Patriots cause problems in the East, guys?
I think so. I think both the Dolphins and the Patriots are absolutely live to win the AFC East this season, even though I'd lean towards Buffalo if I had to choose. Listen, for Miami and New England, it simply comes down to quarterback play. If they can get above average or even star quarterback play from Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, and now obviously Mac Jones in New England, the rest of those rosters are capable of winning 12 to 13 games. Not to mention, all three teams are exceptionally well coached by Bill Belichick, obviously, Brian Flores in Miami, and Sean McDermott in Buffalo. I've been on the record as a Tua guy, obviously, and I expect him to play like a star this season with an actual offseason under his belt and actual weapons around him. Jalen Waddle in the draft, Will Fuller in free agency. Obviously, Devontae Parker still there, and some more speed. Mike Gesicki as well, who I believe I'll mention a little bit later. And then, in New England's end, Mac Jones looks every bit of a starting caliber quarterback. So this division will be as competitive as any. But obviously, Buffalo has the upper hand, the momentum. They also looked great in the preseason. Josh Allen looked great in the preseason finale against the Packers. So I know they're expecting big things, but this division will be competitive, and I can't wait to see how it shakes out. What do you see, Matt?
I mean, I agree with you for the most part. I think that it's not as close. I do believe that the Bills want to and believe they can be back in the AFC Championship game and think that they are close to at least challenging Kansas City. I think they believe they can win it. I'm not sold yet, but I like Josh Allen. I like the team. Sean McDermott is a great coach up there. But absolutely, this is no, done deal. It's not like the AFC West, which we talked about earlier. This is one where Dolphins went 10-6, have a great defense. Tua, I don't think, is going to go through a sophomore slump. And then with the Patriots, Patriots under Bill Belichick do not have back-to-back bad seasons. That's just how it is. Whether it's with Tom Brady or not, they don't have bad back-to-back seasons. And Mac Jones is a guy that isn't going to lose you a game. I don't think he's going to win a game for you, but he's not going to lose you a game. And the way that they built that roster up is a way of going back to, Patriots' success in the past with two tight ends, sets, and running 12-man sets with Jonnu Smith, who I'll be talking about later, and, with Hunter Henry. So I'm excited about this division. I'm excited to see these teams back, and maybe even the New York Jets surprise everyone with some, competitive play. But this is definitely not a done deal for the Bills.
For sure. How do you feel about, obviously, the breaking news Tuesday morning, Mac Jones being named the starter, Cam Newton being gone? How do you feel about Cam Newton's prospects as a starting quarterback as a rookie?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be tough for Cam to find a spot right now, just because if you look at the landscape of the NFL with the quarterbacks in place, it doesn't really seem like a team needs a starter as of right now. I know there's probably chances for him to be a backup, but if he wanted to be a backup, I think he would have stayed in New England. I'm excited to see what Mac Jones does. I think that he's set up for success. It came a little sooner than I thought it was going to, but best of luck with Mac, and I hope Cam can find a spot, because he obviously deserves at least one more chance.
For sure. I agree with you on Cam. I think it'll be tough to find his spot, but I believe in his heart, he believes he's still a starting caliber NFL quarterback. But as far as Mac Jones, listen, every single drive Mac Jones led this preseason ended in points, whether it was a touchdown or a field goal. He was accurate. He was poised. I heard Adam Schefter say on Tuesday morning that people inside that building believe Mac Jones will be a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. So Bill Belichick and the Patriots are obviously sure of Mac Jones. That's why you drafted number 15 overall. That's why you cut a former MVP in Cam Newton a week before the season. So I was surprised, obviously, by the move, but I trust Bill Belichick. I believe he's earned that.
He absolutely has.
The crazy thing in cutting Cam Newton is that Josh Allen is now the longest tenured starting quarterback in the division.
Wow.
Tua in Miami. You got Zach Wilson and Mac Jones as rookies in New York. And New England respectively. So it's
crazy.
Pretty interesting, the youth movement going on at quarterback position in the AFC East. But with the start of the regular season fast approaching, so too is the fantasy football season. For anyone out there that still has to draft, who should fans be keeping an eye on from the AFC East?
Yeah, one of those weapons, I'll go ahead first here, Matt. One of those weapons I mentioned at Tua's disposal, who was actually around last season, was Mike Cianciolo. And I think he's in for a bigger role this season. For starters, this man is basically a receiver who plays tight end. He looks and plays like a receiver. He lined up in the slot on 70% of snaps last season. He hauled in 6 touchdowns and 703 yards in 2020 and was one of just a couple guys that Tua felt comfortable throwing the ball to last season. So Gesicki is what we look for in tight ends nowadays, can line up at multiple positions, run the field, make big catches, is a goal line target. So I expect Gesicki to take another step forward in 2021. You should definitely target him for your fantasy teams if you're able to. What do you see, Matt?
I'm going tight end as well, and I'm going to go with the guy that I just mentioned, Jonnu Smith. Just signed a monster contract during the offseason with the Patriots, was brought in with Henry. And although they're two great tight ends, I don't think it causes an issue where they're going to butt heads and one's going to do great while the other kind of struggles, simply because the way that the Patriots like to operate is they like to have 2 tight ends out there, and they like to have guys like that can be more wide receivers. Obviously, Rob Gronkowski is the clear example of that. But also, Jonnu Smith was averaged 5.8 yards after catch per reception last year, which ranked 5th among tight ends. He was tied for 4th among tight ends in red zone targets last year, even though he wasn't thrown to all that often. And the Patriots' best wide receiver options are Jacoby Myers and Nelson Aguilar, which are solid, but that clearly shows that Henry and Smith are going to be the go-tos. So I expect Jonnu Smith to have a great season and be one of those tight ends you have to look for.
I agree. I love Jonnu Smith. I think he is the better option of the 2 New England tight ends over Hunter Henry, who is already dealing with some injuries as he has in his past. So, and you mentioned it too, Jonnu Smith is a dog with the ball in his hand. He gives you a lot of yak, stuff after the catch. So I expect big things in his first year in New England for Jonnu.
Jonnu Smith burned me in fantasy last year. I picked him up, and he was doing really great, getting lots of touchdowns early on in the season, and it just did not work out trying to start and bench. It was like,
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
He plays more, bench him, and all of a sudden he goes off. But Scott, I did take your recommendation on Gesicki. I drafted him in the 14th round. He's my backup to Travis Kelce. So
love to hear it.
A solid flex on a week where some running backs, receivers are out there. Definitely that bye week when Kelsey's out, he'll slot in nicely at tight end. So, all right, guys, that will do it for our preview of the East, but we'll have more from the remaining AFC divisions here on Chalk Talk coming up. For Scott Procter and Matt Morris, I'm Mike Cianciolo. Thanks for tuning in to BVM Sports. We will see you again soon.